Test, 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 test. Test, 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 test. Mic check.
Good morning, Comanche Nation. It's 10 o'clock. Welcome to the October CBC meeting. At this time, Secretary Treasurer, will you please do roll call?
Mark Wimboya, Chairman.
Here.
Dr. Cornell Pee-wee Wardy, Vice Chairman. Here. Hazel Tasquaw, Committee Woman number 1.
Here.
Ross Carrara, Committeeman number 2.
Here.
Jordan Fox, Committeeman number 4.
Here.
You have one. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were here. Alice Castavoy. Here. Chairman, we have a one.
Okay, Secretary Treasurer, will you please lead us in a prayer?
We just recently lost one of our senior members of our nation, and I miss my brother. So at this time, I'll go ahead and pray for all of us and for the family. So this time, let us pray. Antamek of God, our Lord Jesus Christ. Heavenly Fathers, we want to thank you for the wonderful day that you have provided us. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the things you have done for our great Comanche nation. Heavenly Father, we know that you have taken your son to be with you this day, and Heavenly Father, be with the family that they're serving at this time. Bless their hearts. And as we go through this activity, Father, teach us to be good, Father, and teach us to do the right things. As we look across our nation, Heavenly Father, watch out for our elders. Watch out for those that are sick in the hospitals at this time, Father. We ask a very special blessing upon the veterans wherever they are serving. We ask that you bring them home to us safe so that we can honor them in your name, Heavenly Father. As this day goes on, Heavenly Father, I hope the things that are done here will be good for our Comanche nation and our Comanche people. I say all these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Secretary Treasurer. The September minute meetings are not ready for approval. CBC will approve those in November. Next on the agenda is our Executive General Counsel reports. First, I'd like to share the Chairman's trip report to South Dakota to the Department of Health and Human Services, the Secretary Treasurer's Advisory Council meeting, STAC. The Secretary of Interior, Deb Holland, Tribal Advisory Committee was sponsored by the National Indian Health Board in Rapid City, South Dakota, the 12th through the 14th of September. Tribal leaders from across the United States representing Indian country was in attendance. I was appointed to the board and a voting delegate for the state of Oklahoma with other tribal leaders and delegates from Oklahoma. Cherokee Principal Chief Chuck Hoskins Jr., Wichita-affiliated Tribes President Terry Parton, Cheyenne Arapaho Governor Reggie Wasserman, and Chickasaw Lieutenant Governor Chris Anatubby. We met with several secretaries from D.C., Departments of Human Health and Services, Health Resources and Science, Administration for Children and Families, Centers for Medical and Service Medicaid, Administration for Elderly Living on Indian Reservations, the Inspector General's Office, and other tribal entities from D.C. During the tribal caucuses, we were able to discuss concerns as leaders and share them with the Department of, the secretaries from the Department of, from D.C. Also, I was honored to represent Southwest Oklahoma as well as the Comanche Nation at the Oklahoma Municipal League Annual Conference, Tuesday, September 19th in Oklahoma City at the Oklahoma City Convention Center. The conference began with a statewide audience of over 600 mayors, city council members, trustees, city managers, clerks, and other municipal professionals. I sat on a panel that featured common ground in tribal nations and municipalities on building positive connections and partnerships. I want to say outstanding job to our Comanche Nation Higher Education for planning and coordinating our career day in Lawton at the Coliseum on 20th September. We had over 55 businesses and colleges and over 185 students. This was record numbers for us. I want to say thank you to our TA and our executive assistants who attended and provided words to our students. Finally, I was nominated to the tribal leaders by the tribal leaders across the state to sit on the Board of Trustees at Bacone University, and I accepted a nominee. My mantra when I go out and represent our Comanche people at the state and federal level is I go as one, but I represent over 17,000 Comanche people. Thank you. Vice Chairman.
September highlights. I've attended all the CBC scheduled meetings, the quorum meetings for the month. Spoke to the Ponca Business Committee about the steps for them to take in creating an indigenous charter school in Oklahoma. Met with City National Bank officials with other CBC that would be able to prepare for the per capita payment distribution, and met with the executive director of Oklahoma Historical Museum in Oklahoma City, who asked me to be on their advisory board. Spoke to the students, the native students at Cameron University about their events and co-sponsorship of Indigenous Peoples Day coming up on Monday. And also the local planning committee will be putting together their 5th annual Indigenous Peoples Day on October the 9th. And I'd like to give a shout out to all of those that put together a fine Comanche Nation Fair, where we participated and attended many of the events, and it was just outstanding for all those that were contributing to the preparation and planning. So proud to see so many people and to get feedback and to do the things that we're tasked to do. So that's real brief, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Treasurer. I'm sorry. Thank you, Vice Chairman. Secretary Treasurer.
At this time, I will give a report on several different organizations. First of all, I'll cover the Nation's Tax Commission report. Ending last month, the Tax Commission had a net position of $3,063,721. This amount is comprised of $3,285,102 in total assets, of which $3,069,087 is cash. For the same period, the Comanche Nation Tax Commission had net income of $236,171. Of this amount, the Tax Commission generated $491,000 in revenue. The amount is comprised of various operations, including the issuance of tags, tobacco tax, sales tax, AMT tax. The amount generated from these operations were $55,638,000. The commission operating income for the month was $415,173. The tax commission attended the Tribal Energy Strategic Planning Summit held in Tulsa, Oklahoma. This is going to be beneficial to our nation, and I know it'll be helpful to the tax commission. Next, Chairman, I have a report on the KCA activity. As reported by the director of the KCA, they're working hard to remove hogs, and they're trapping and removing hogs out of the Cache Cemetery. We've had a lot of problems with that lately, so The KCA is working on that. The staff is working on getting contractors to fix and maintain the areas at the BIA building that need attention. During the recent rainstorm, there were several leaks reported at the BIA building. The KCA staff were there to check if any damage was done. 2 new staff members were hired for the KCA office. A contractor is being hired to help pilot the oversight of all cemeteries, getting all staff members trained on the GRP ground penetration radar system, currently negotiating new farm leases. BIA is assisting with farm plans. Problem we've had with that in the past that the Bureau doesn't have the manpower anymore, and they're just flat not meeting their responsibilities to the KCA. The Housing Authority September accomplishment highlights: 2019-2021 Indian Community Development Block Grant closeout on September 21st. The Comanche Nation Housing Authority received the final closeout notice from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, for this grant. The implementation schedule for this grant was from August 1, 2020 through April 2026. The Comanche Nation Housing Authority completed the grant approximately 3 years ahead of schedule. This was a $900,000 grant combined with $303,075 in leverage funds for total grant expenditure of $1,203,750. The purpose of the grant was to reduce substandard health and safety conditions in housing units occupied by tribal members. A total of 83 families were served with rehabilitation to their dwellings that eliminated unsanitary and unsafe conditions. We also have the ARP report. It's up on the screen. You can see each one of the programs and where it's at and the balances on it. Very, very proud, Chairman, to announce that we've had a lot of infrastructure improvements at the Comanche Nation. And so at this time, I'll turn the report over to the tribal administrator or her representative. I'd like for the Comanche people to know what's being accomplished on their behalf.
Can we get him a microphone, please? Thank you. Oh, you got one?
Hello.
We got
Can you hear me?
Yep. Thank you,
Okay.
Lloyd.
The ARP and CIP budgets that have been taking place since March of 2022 have been realized and finalized as of September. And total, we've spent $7,131,752. This is the most that we've ever spent in an 18-month period, and we have done a lot of renovations. We renovated the Assisted Living Center, we renovated the community centers, the Apache, the Cahoma, the Walters. We're building a new property building. We did the media room. We did upgrades to the funeral home. We got the Comanche Academy up and running. That was one of our main things. We did work to food distribution. We did work for the fair, the maintenance. We did work on the court building. We're getting our admin building taken care of, doing renovations to that. We've got new roofs put on a lot of our buildings, one of them being Watchtaker Hall, which is our mostly used building. We've done work with the casinos. We're going to be getting them a new water tower so we can get that development up and running and going. We're actually right now doing a new record retention building that's fixing to open. We're doing a new CIP building. We're actually looking good, and we're doing renovations to one of these buildings that we just purchased on 1714 Gore. We actually got a lot of stuff done at the Elderly Center. We renovated our EPA office, and we're actually doing drawing designs up, and we're getting ready to bid out an add-on for our prevention and recovery to have a women's side. Because the more that we build, the more infrastructure that we improve, the more services and better services that we can provide for our people. So one thing that we say is, as CIP, the committee and the TA, they approve all of our projects. If you like to see certain things built, certain things remodeled, reach out to your committee members, because they decide on what we do every year. And I would just like to say it's been a great 18 months for me. I've come a long way with my health, and to do all this, I'm glad to be here. Thank y'all, everybody.
Thank you.
Also, I would like to, Chairman, I'd like to report that the Business Committee has been taking very seriously the casino situation. Our casinos are running down. We need repairs on them badly. So I've asked the CEO of gaming if you'll come forward. She has a quick presentation. We want the Comanche people to start to understand the real problems we have with our casinos, and this is phase one. Phase two will be how we'll go about paying to start moving on getting these renovations updated. Thank you, Mia Tatanapa.
Thank you. So we have one slide that we've worked with the Secretary Treasurer to put together. And so we really kind of have some of our, what we call capital, same as like Louis' program, capital improvement, we call CapEx. It's comparable to the same thing, but we have it kind of broken down into what we call revenue enhancements and then just general maintenance. And like the Secretary Treasurer said, that we're going on 20 years of our property, and they're wearing down. Just like you have to make repairs to your home after a few years. Well, we have to make repairs to our properties, and that's ongoing, and we are doing that. We're doing that now as we go. What we don't have though is savings, so that if something does go out or that we're planning, we're reactive and not proactive. If an air conditioner goes out, we had a lot of problems with our air conditioners this past summer. The humidity just killed our air conditioners. At Spur over the weekend, the air conditioner went out Friday during the one of the busiest weekends that we have. And so those are the things that we can't wait until they break down. And then we're losing revenue because our customers are leaving. And so these are things that we always have to be on top of. And our maintenance team does a great job of working on getting those repairs, but they cost a lot. An air conditioner can be $50,000 for one AC. And so these are pricey items. And this is just our general maintenance. We also have a few $1 million of IT, well, about a little over $1 million of IT infrastructure that we need to replace. That's the other thing that always gets left out is your IT infrastructure. And if you're familiar with the recent news of what happened in Las Vegas, there was a cyber attack on MGM, and they're out, millions and lost revenue and had to completely lock down their system and go offline. And so those are things that we have to be, taking care of our infrastructure continuously, so that we don't have any attacks like that, and we can prevent that. The largest thing that really needs to be upgraded that I'd like to bring to everybody's attention is our hotel. Our hotel rooms are wearing down. The hotel was built in 2014, and our rooms, they are not attractive for our high-level players. High-level players, they want nice, new rooms. And so we've, about $3 million to set aside just renovating the basic rooms, 87 rooms, and our suites. The other one is the restaurant at Red River. The restaurant is also needs a major facelift. About $1 million to do that facelift for the restaurant, again, to make it appealing for our guests. We're desperate for a raised floor and carpet. As many of you know, we hear that a lot. The raised floor at Comanche Nation is dent, we're looking at about $1.5 million just to replace the carpet and the raised flooring. Again, these are just ongoing things that need to be replaced now, and we are doing these things, but we're doing them very slowly because it takes money, it takes cash. We don't have the cash in the bank. 100% of our dollar goes to the tribe. All of it. We don't have any savings. All of it goes to the tribe. 40% goes straight to City National every month, and 60% goes to the tribe for the tribal budget distribution. So there isn't savings that's put. And again, this is just something that as a tribe we need to talk about. How are we going to save and how are we going to set aside to do these things? These don't include expansion plans or major renovations or new properties. So these don't all, doesn't include those things. And so, just like we, Louis' program, capital improvement, it's on the budget every year. It's on next year's budget, a little over $2 million. And this is how we continuously do upgrades to our tribe. And we fix things that are broken. If a roof is leaky, we fix it. These are things that we have to continuously improve. And so as a tribe, we're fixing these things, but we're not putting the same investment into our revenue generating, which is our whole budget. We're not setting those funds aside. And so as a tribe, we just need to talk about it and figure out how are we going to do this. Prior to 2017, there was a percentage that was set aside for CapEx, and that's how that was funded. And then that stopped. And so there hasn't been a resolution of how we're going to move forward with setting funds aside so we can do general maintenance ongoing. And so do we put it on the tribal budget? Do we set those funds aside? Again, it's for our people to decide, how do you want to invest in our properties? But we have to invest in our properties. It takes money to make money.
Thank you.
Is there anything you want to add, John David?
Thank you, Mia. Is that it, Secretary Treasurer? You good?
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Moving on to our next report, Indian Health Board, CBC member number 1.
Okay, I attended the IHS Health Board meeting, and Dr. Ali had presented a study that they're working on, and their aim is to better understand the relationship between sleep and cognitive performance in American Indians, as well as Dorothy Rhodes presented the study of the association between inorganic arsenic exposures and drinking water and diabetes risk. OEH will be present at the next meeting to give us a detailed what services that they provide. Also, the flu shots, they will be conducting the flu shots in COVID starting next week. And the Wellness Center opens from 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Also, I had been given a detailed data chart, and it is very interesting. With the clinic, the top outpatient diagnosis for FY23, the main issue is to, issue repeat prescriptions. Number 2 is type 2 diabetes. Number 3 is hypertension, and 4 is immunization. Number 5 is screening for dental exam. And number 6 is dental exam. And number 7, acute upper respiratory infection. And number 8, routine child health exam. Number 9, gynecological exam. And number 10, chronic pain. The Lawton Service Unit, right now, with the past 3 years, their clinical active patients comes up to 26,278 patients. The top inpatient diagnosis for the hospital is the sepsis, urinary tract infection, pneumonia, COPD, and cellulitis of lower limbs. So if anyone wants a copy of this information, I'll have Jennifer make some copies. I asked if this was, not confidential, and you're free to get a copy of this. Okay? There's a lot of information in there. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Next up is our calf-cow program, CBC 1 and 4.
Okay, our cow-calf operation remains robust, ensuring a sustainable source of beef for the nation. This month witnessed several significant milestones, including advertising for the specialist position, providing ground beef to Comanche Nation fair campers, and the development advisory board bylaws. Additionally, preparations for winter wheat planting, the acquisition of essential equipment, and the transportation of buffalo from Cheyenne, Arapaho to Comanche Nation were key achievements.
Okay, thank you. Our last one is Enterprise. CBC 4, please.
Thank you, Chairman. For this previous month, we did not have an official meeting. We weren't in official capacity. We did not have a quorum. That has been corrected. It was just we were short on members of the board, and we will be addressing that issue with a resolution we're bringing up. Those new members that we will appoint is Mike Keybone, Forrest Tadenapa, and Stephen Lee. With that being said, Enterprise is moving forward. They're still conducting business, so it hasn't slowed anything down. It's just a procedure we have to follow before we sit in official capacity. So I don't want to bring any information up until we officially submit that and approve our minutes at that meeting. There was a tribal member last month that did want us to start adding the profit and loss statement to Enterprise, and I did mention I would start including that in the CBC meetings, but after further thought, I think it would be in Enterprise's best interest to keep those confidential. Now, if the tribal members do want to know about those, they're more than welcome to go to the Enterprise office and request to view that information. I personally think it would be a bad business decision because we're working with bankers, trying to partnership with other companies. To release that information is kind of showing our cards, and you don't always want to do that in business. But we're not hindering any financials from the tribal members. They'll just need to contact the Enterprise board to get that, to see that information. There's more than just tribal members that watch this online, so that's why we just want to make sure that we holding our cards tight and only divulging information that needs to be. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Mr. Fox, you've neglected to, you have a really good accomplishment. We hired a CEO, and I was just wondering, is he here today? Did you guys invite him to introduce him to the nation?
Well, we were actually going to, again, until we meet in official capacity, I was going to bring that information up next month.
Okay.
Who is our new CEO?
Marlon Stevens. And
I just want to know, why do we have to put what amount of money or whatever, our budget or whatever, anything that pertains to our security? To me, that security is watching out for the finances of the tribe. That nothing like that should be entered into the Lawton Constitution or even in our newsletter. Some of the things that are put in there about our finances should not be in the Lawton Constitution. Oh, the tribe got so much money for such and such. All that needs to be confidential to us as a tribe. Like you said, there are things that should not be out there for the public. I just wanted to add that.
thank you.
Thank you, Judge Kusuum. We got one more question in the back.
Cow-calf. This is October we should have already planted our winter pasture. We have to be down there when it rains or when it's dry. We have to look at the soil to determine what kind of plowing we're going to do. And consequently, because of the disruption, we've got one place that I know of that's been plowed. We're going to have, last count was 163 head. That's going to cost us more money to feed them than it would had we been preparing the soil and planting the seed so that we would have green winter pasture. So CBC, we're already on a downward spiral. We need to get that tractor moving. Whoever is in charge needs to plow that ground, plant that seed, and hopefully by January we'll have some green pasture. If we don't do that, we're going to have to buy that expensive hay and that cattle cake. So CBC, you got a task on your hands that would have been taken care of had Tim and I remained on that cow-calf.
Mr. Red Oak, to answer your question, the seeds were planted some weeks back, and we are actually in the bid processing to get those plowed as well. So things are moving forward.
What place was plowed or seeded?
As far as I can get that information for you, but we did have everything we needed seeded. So we can have that harvest.
That's good.
Thank you.
I do know that if you don't do something probably for the cattle, I've had to buy hay year-round for 2 years because of the shortage and the drought we've been.
And we were worried about that, and we were told that we do not have to worry about purchasing any hay this year, so we will be covered.
Okay. All right, moving on to item number 4, resolutions. Our first resolution, Law Enforcement Resolution 103-2023. Mr. Fox, would you please read that resolution?
Yes, Chairman. I'll start for the fourth whereas. The Comanche Nation of Oklahoma sees that the critical need to improve the exchange of critical data across the criminal justice information systems, and other national crime information systems for both criminal and civil purposes, thus increasing the public safety of Comanche tribal members, and whereas the United States Department of Justice Tribal Access Program has funds available to accomplish this purpose, and whereas the Comanche Nation wishes to participate in the TAP Full program, and whereas the chairman for the Comanche Nation of his designee is a duly authorized representative of the Comanche Nation designated to negotiate contracts, amendments thereof, sign checks and documents, and whereas the Comanche Nation continues its support for the TAP program and the previously approved Comanche Nation Resolution number 125-18, application for the Tribal Access Program, TAP. Now therefore be it resolved that the Comanche Business Committee, acting for and on behalf of the Comanche Nation, does hereby authorize this resolution as such.
Thank you. I need a motion to accept Resolution 103-2023.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by CBC member number 2. Can I
I'll
get a second? Second by CBC member number 4. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Resolution passes. Next resolution, Resolution 104-2023, Veterans Day Resolution. Mr. Fox, will you please read that resolution?
Yes, Chairman. I'll start with the third whereas. The Comanche Nation Constitution, Section 1, Section 2, Section 3, and Section 4 does mandate the Comanche Business Committee to conduct business for and on behalf of Comanche Nation, and whereas Congressional Act 52-351, 5 U.S. Code Section 87A, approved on May 13, 1938, made November 11th in each year a legal holiday, a day to be dedicated to the cause of the world peace and to be thereafter celebrated and known as Armistice Day. This day is reserved for honoring military veterans of the United States Armed Forces. And whereas this resolution affirms that the Comanche Indian Veterans Association has the right to utilize Watchtaker Hall on Veterans Day for Veterans Day ceremonies and for the recognition of Comanche Indian veterans on Veterans Day from this day forward. And therefore be it resolved, the Comanche Nation Business Committee acknowledges the Comanche Indian Veterans Association as the Chartered Veterans Association of the Comanche Nation and acknowledges the importance recognizing our Comanche warriors on this day that was set aside for them.
Excellent. Yes.
So you're saying that's going to trump every other organization? Because there's the Service Club, there's other veteran associations. So you're saying that this is going to trump them?
For Veterans Day, that's how it reads, yes ma'am.
Why would you do that? So you're acknowledging only them and you're disregarding the other organizations out there that represent other veterans, as well as the Little Ponies, Walter Service Club. We have several. We have the one that Tennyson Kirchy's part of. What about their organization? You're saying that none of that is relevant? That just doesn't sound right. Just my opinion.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that this be tabled. We have several, like she says, organizations, and to specify that's restricting and looking and turning our backs on the other organizations. So I'd like to make a motion, we just table this.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor to table this until we can get further discussion. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second by our Vice Chairman. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, this resolution 104-2023 has been tabled.
And just for clarification, this was a resolution brought up from the CIVA. It wasn't an individual CBC member or anything like that. So just to clarify.
Thank you. Our next resolution, Resolution 105-2023, Committee Reappointment. Vice Chair, will you please read that resolution?
I'll try my best.
No. Mr. Carrara, will you please read that for him?
No, I can do it. Just
Okay. Thank you.
third, whereas the KCA Land Use Committee bylaws, Article 4, Section 4, each tribe shall appoint 3 representatives to the KCA Land Use Committee to sit for the term as determined by the respective tribal business committees in accordance with their respective tribal constitutions. And whereas the Comanche Business Committee amends the appointment from Mark Womavoya, Chairman, Cornell Pugliorti, Vice Chairman, John D. Waning, Secretary Treasurer, Hazel Tassaquah, Committee Person Number 1, Alternative. Whereas the Comanche Business Committee amends the appointment to Mark Womavoya, Chairman, John D. Waning, Secretary Treasurer, Hazel Tassaquah, Committee Person Number 1, Jordan Fox, Committee Person Number 4, Alternative. Therefore, be it resolved, the Comanche Nation Business Committee appoints the Business Committee members to serve as the KCA Land Use Committee representatives for the Comanche Nation. This appointment will serve a period of time that is in conjunction with their elected period.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. For the record, it's not alternative, it's alternate. Okay, I need a motion to accept Resolution 105-2023.
I make that motion.
Motion made by CBC member number 2. I need a second.
Second.
Second by our Secretary Treasurer. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Resolution passes. Our next resolution, Resolution 106-2023, WIOA resolution. Mr. Carrara, will you please read that resolution?
Yes, a resolution to approve and amend the Comanche Nation Workforce WIOA departmental guidelines for 3 corresponding services. fourth whereas, the Workforce BO department has updated and will amend the written program eligibility guidelines for CNG funded services, and whereas the Workforce BO department makes the following amendments to the current eligibility guidelines for CNG funded services. Number 1, work experience program, amended to read: A, at any work site, depending on job duties and labor, plus any credential attainments, client's pay rate will start at $10 per hour. B, participating clients will be required to attend a one-day career development class hosted and taught by workforce staff prior to starting at the work site. Under C3, workforce will decrease employability training time frame from 4 months or 16 weeks to 8 weeks without extension. Number 2A1, OJT process will be followed between workforce staff, human resources staff, and travel administrator. Number 3A, decrease stipend assistance for students enrolled in CRT program from $12 per hour of seat time to $10 per hour of seat time. Remove, end quote, for Comanche Nation tribal members only, end quote. Now therefore be it resolved, the Comanche Business Committee hereby approves the attached, updated, and amended Workforce WEO departmental guidelines effective October 7, 2023.
Excellent, thank you. I need a motion to pass Resolution 106-2023.
I make that motion.
Motion made by CBC member number 1. Can I get a second?
I can second.
Second by our vice chair. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Resolution passes. Our last resolution, Comanche Nation Enterprise Resolution 107-2023. Mr. Fox, will you please read our final resolution?
Yes, sir, Chairman. Resolution of the Comanche Business Committee acting on behalf of the owners of Comanche Nation Enterprise, reappointment of directors. I'll start with the third whereas. The Board of Directors, having determined the persons named herein meet the qualifications for appointment as directors pursuant to the charter, and having determined in its best interest of the corporation, recommend the following reappointment of voting directors of the corporation from Heather Riddle, Billy Comanche, and Justin Booz to Forrest Tadenapa, Mike Keybone, and Stephen Lee. And therefore be it resolved that the Comanche Business Committee, acting on behalf of the Comanche Nation as owners, approves the appointment of the following as voting directors to the Board of Directors for Comanche Nation Enterprise for the respective terms effective immediately. 1, Forrest Tadenapa. 2, Mike Keybone. 3, Stephen Lee.
Thank you. I need a motion to pass Resolution 107-2023.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by CBC member number 4. Can I get a second? Second by our Secretary Treasurer. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Resolution passes. That's all our resolutions. Moving on to item number 5, old and new business. During old or new business, you'll have 5 minutes. Please state your purpose and intent up front. And remember, everyone will be treated with dignity and respect. Okay, who's first for old and new business? Oh, yes, Judge Kusuo.
As to the continued tribal people, as the people as a whole, because there's a time coming, if we don't address it, that we won't have a tribe. And that's not too far in the future. So I'm looking at what are we going to do about addressing descendancy role? How can we address this? Because this is very important for us all as a tribe. You look at the families, some of the families, they don't have any descendancy within the next several next children that they raise. So, you know, our descendancy or our, how are we going to do this to make sure that the tribe continues to grow and be the tribe that it is? Because you got some kids on there now that if they have children, they won't be anymore. Their children won't be able to be on the roll. So, you know, it's very important that we address this very serious situation. As, yeah, we're older, we're here, we're there, but there's going to come a time when those ones are going to have to be the leaders and to continue to upgrade our tribe. And how are we going to do this? This is, to me, is very important. We need to really look down and see how you're going to handle continuing to be a tribe. So we've got children or grandchildren now that when they grow up and have children, there's no more. And a whole bunch of us in here have that situation already. I mean, I don't, but I see that happening around me. So it's something serious, very serious for us to continue to work at, because as far as the government is concerned, that's what they want. They want us to not have any more tribe. They want to get rid of us. They've been wanting to. So I know that it's something no one's thought about discussing or whatever, but it does need to be taken care of. And I think you people up there you got a job to do with this situation about our descendancy, our eligibility to continue being a tribe.
Thank you. We got a question back here. So we're going to address the descendancy rows for the tribe to continue to grow is what I got. Thank you, Judge.
In regards to what Judge Kusumun is saying, it is very important. And this is, if not 18, perhaps 32 months, I've stated to this body that we need to have constitutional amendment, but we also need to hear from the people. And this is what it's going to take, that all the people weigh in on this. Some of us have mixed emotions or feelings about it because we have grandchildren or great-grandchildren. But at the same time, Ms. Kusiwun said, protect our future as Numina. What's that going to take? It's going to take a survey. It's going to take a questioning to all of our people. Other tribes have other areas, policies, role requirements, such as language, living within the community, participating with events, materials, understanding language, knowing who you are, where your people come from. And then tribal council or the business committee would vote you in after some time of being involved, not just by birthright. As we look around us, a birthright that's on the east side of I-35, look at the numbers. But that government is willing to give up limited tribal sovereignty, if not all sovereignty. And what are we standing on over here? Treaties and reservation bounds. And how much longer are we going to be Comanche if we don't have our language and the history of our customs? So I concur with Ms. Kusiwun, and we've been saying it. We need to protect our future, but we also need to find a way to protect our people. Now, I'm in agreement that we need to do something. However, my comment here, from my personal opinion, about our Comanche Nation Fair. While everyone works hard, everyone enjoyed it, those that came, what's the future? You're talking about building facilities, and our gaming CEO talked to us about how important it is that the gaming have a savings, have a set aside. And those of you who are in business or private business know that anywhere from 3 to 5% of your income, if not 10%, should go back to the company. Now, albeit that didn't happen for us, though it was happening in the future, then someone here in 2015-16 decided to take $25 million from the casinos, which was meant for upgrade and upkeep and development, and give it to all of us, and stood up and raised their hands and said, look what I did for you. Now look what happened. Now you're going to come to us or gaming to ask us to give up something. So if you're going to ask us to give up something in order to have better gaming, to have quality gaming and quality facilities, then you're going to have to ask a hard question. Are we going to sacrifice some of our per cap 1 year to improve those things that are needed? Because, ladies and gentlemen, we should have had that hotel and a convention center here in Lawton. Because how many months, is it every 90 days, Mr. Chairman, that Fort Sill has a graduation?
Yes.
And all the restaurants, all the hotels are sold out for perhaps a week. And a lot of those families will go to the casino. I can hear them talking, I hear them talking. So this planning has to take place. Strategic planning has to take place, CBC. Again, this is 17 months. I've said this in last January, and I said it 6 months ago. We had an opportunity here at Comanche Nation Fair to survey our people, which was last done in 2010. How is that, 13 years ago, before this business committee actually conducted some kind of business survey of our people? That's what it's going to take to come back to us again and get the ideas and the knowledge. So my concern is not just about our future, but our financial future and our ability to give back to the community which gambles at our casinos. I remember we had Comanches and others, we would have arrows, you know, bow and arrow contest. Then we'd have the 3-on-3 basketball games, elder storytelling. But that didn't happen. We didn't have something for the youth. So this planning that takes place, I'm coming to my point, is the board, the group that decided events and activities at Comanche Nation Fair included community leaders, people with organizations that came in and supported what we did. You didn't have that this year. We didn't see that. Those of us who went to one meeting to talk about our one item, all those decisions were made by people who were not here 10 and 15 years ago. So where is this involvement of the community if you're only listening to those who work here? And to the few who have knowledge, they're not always listened to. So you need to go back to the drawing board here, to the original plan, bringing in community elders and people who are involved with these organizations that you want to come in and participate here at the fair. Be it all from the Little Ponies to the CIVA, to all of our organizations, they all had some representative on that fair board. And this year I did not see that. And of course I haven't been here for about 11 years, but I haven't seen much progress since I've been gone. And this is up to you all. And so for those of you who are looking to appoint things, appoint people, you know, look into the community. Again, you're sitting here, sitting on all the boards. We don't hear a lot of it. My contention is we should give you a salary and you should be limited to the boards and bring in new leaders, people who can learn what we do with every board that you sit on, because we don't hear it all. And there's a lot of people out here who ask the question. Okay. I don't know it all, and I'm learning, but I've also learned a lot what not to do elsewhere. So again, my point about the Comanche Nation Fair Board, you need to bring in people who are with the organizations and who know what was happening back when, and you're not doing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. We are going to sit down with the Fair Board and do a after-action review, and I will bring this up to involve community leaders in all future events. Thank you, Mike.
And also to answer your question, Mike, in regards to the casino, we are working with the CEO to bring forward a presentation for the people, so y'all know exactly what we're wanting to do, what we're trying to accomplish, and we need y'all to understand where your money's going to go exactly. And again, it's up to the people. So if y'all tell us we need to find another way, then that's just the bottom line. We'll have to find another way. But we want to make sure we give y'all full transparency whenever we have that presentation prepared.
Thank you, Jordan. Go ahead, Secretary Treasurer.
Mr. Carrara, I think you had a fundamental survey that you would like to have gotten out to our people. I would really like to see you take that survey, share it with our elders, and get their involvement in it first, and then let's put that survey out there so we can really find out what we can do to help our people and what they feel they need, their greatest needs are. In other words, we shouldn't be sitting here dictating to them. They should be telling us we should be carrying through with it. That's our responsibility as a business committee to serve our people. So I would strongly like to see you follow up on that survey that you began, but run it through our elders. You might want to go to the elder council, you might want to go to the elder center and get their feedback and get their involvement.
Thank you.
Yes, Secretary Treasurer, you're talking about the community needs assessment, which is a bottom-up approach to planning and development, where we'd reach out to all community members for all sorts of reasons, for like workforce, education, future development, economic, sustainable development, sustainable planning, grants, recreation, all sorts of different categories that are addressed. It's like a SWOT analysis of what are our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that all of our tribal people can fill out this assessment. And then based off of all the data, we will know what are our top priorities and from where, which locations. So I can certainly work with the tribal administrator as well, and our elder groups to help get that out there and finalize the assessment.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ross, that survey's ready. We had IT build it. We sent it back to the CBC for you all to look at it. It's been months ago, but we can send it again for another approval.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. Mike, appreciate your institutional knowledge, especially for the constitutional reform. And I know you've been echoing that, but it doesn't go on deaf ears. It goes into discussion and people, but I also think that inaction is really action. So we have to move that forward. The ideas that you have, particularly with strategic planning, community engagement, the idea even about the criteria of who's a citizen and who's not a citizen. That's community engagement to me, and I remember last year there was one of our citizens, Jordan Mackey. She had a panel discussion last year at the library to talk about just that. There was a lot of interest, but not a lot of people came, but it sparked enough information that, it really needs to look forward rather than just a multiple panel. I think it has to roll into something that is serious, if that was people's on their consciousness to look at. But also there's a lot of students that are doing either masters or dissertations just on that subject, so we can count upon our own people, to tap that knowledge base. But I think that's really important as we begin to grow as the future of who we are as Numina people. It has to be focus because it rolls right into the Constitution, who we are. So I really appreciate it. I just want to share that with you, that there's a continuing, and I'm on board for that, whether, can listen to people's opinion, pro and con, all kinds of things. But if there's no action, it's really action. So I appreciate it very much. And then know that I'm on board to move any kind of idea, initiative forward. We can make, a formal discussion about this because it is our future. Good.
Thank you. Next.
Good morning, Brittany Hadovich. For new and old business, what is the status of the investigation that prompted an unconstitutional suspension of Alice Castelloy?
It's still ongoing. Julia, has anyone turned in any reports to you yet?
I've received one thus far. I'm still waiting for the others.
Okay.
So what evidence has been recovered?
None that I know of. CBC, do you know of any evidence?
I would say it's still ongoing.
What can you provide as proof that this action was not self-serving for the vice chairman or a malicious diversion from accountability? So is this action, this resolution was taken, was it about a cause or was it about the person that offends you?
Are you addressing a single person?
Oh, I'm sorry. Self-serving for the vice chairman, was it the cause, vice chairman, for the person that offends you?
Please repeat what your question is, please.
What can you provide as proof that the action was not self-serving for your role, or was it a malicious diversion from accountability?
Are you referring to the suspension of Alice Castlewood?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's a decision within the CBC. I was a part of that.
So you weren't the only one?
No, it wasn't the only one.
So who authored the resolution? I understand you read it, but who authored the resolution?
I read a lot of resolutions. That didn't mean I'm the author.
Exactly. So it was an idea collectively that you guys decided, because that's how I understood it, that it was a decision that all of you made. It wasn't personal, it wasn't one individual. All you did is read a resolution that you didn't author like you do every month, and now you're getting recalled for it because you simply read a resolution, and you're getting recalled because you voted on a resolution. You were doing your jobs. So I guess the question for what she's getting at is, who was the author of the resolution? Who authored the resolution? Did you write the resolution?
No, I do a lot of revisions. I do ideas.
Did you write the resolution, Jordan?
No, ma'am.
Did any of you write the resolution?
Will no one take account for who wrote the resolution?
I don't know who wrote the resolution. The resolution was presented.
The last CBC meeting, Vice Chairman said that it was a collective.
Exactly.
So who was in the collective, I guess?
So it was an idea from several of you. So was it personal?
Well, if there's charges, someone had to bring charges.
What I know of, there were 7 allegations, and the CBC voted on those 7 that were in the resolution.
But I think we're asking, where did the allegations come from?
That it was collective over multiple CBC members. I don't know who that was.
Okay,
but
that's what we're asking. So, because we can get together and decide that we're going to allegate something against you guys, and then we don't have to tell where this is coming from. I can make up something and allege something, but if someone doesn't stand up and said, yes, I wrote it because this person did this and this and this, then we can take that seriously. But anybody can make up anything and make allegations towards, and if we don't hold that person accountable, then we could just blame each other for stupid things. Oh, we need proof.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so by individual response, CBC, since nobody will allocate that, they proposed that, what I'm hearing is that since last month, when you suspended a sitting CBC member who has the same authority as you, you've done no additional work to report into that. Is that accurate? Hazel? Okay. Ross? Have you done anything or provided anything to the TA for the additional investigation?
While it's an ongoing investigation, I'm not going to make any comments on it.
Vice Chair?
It's ongoing.
Okay. I'm sorry, John David?
I was not involved in that original action that was taken, but it's my understanding that they gave specific issues in a resolution type format or question type. So the bottom line on it is that I feel that because it's an ongoing thing right now, but in reality, I want us to always be fair to all our people. Very important we treat our people the right way. That's the way our elders raised us, right? So it's a question now of there are allegations, where are the charges? It's as simple as that.
And where's the proof? Yeah. Where's the proof? Is that what the TA is collecting?
Yes.
But to this point, the TA has stated that there's only been one set or one lead that's been generated in a month's time. I recognize that we attended the Communication Fair, at least most of us did, but you've done nothing to further the cause that support that Alice should have been suspended. Jordan, have you provided anything? I'm not asking for details, but have you provided anything in a month's time to assist the TA in her investigation?
Well, like I stated last month, I did not vote yes on the suspension, but I did agree with if there's allegations, there needs to be an investigation. If I'm not mistaken, in that resolution, it gave a 90 days to collect that information. So I don't think it's a matter of how soon you get that information. As far as I know, there is still evidence being gathered, but I don't want to dive into details as there's still an ongoing investigation and we have up to 90 days to collect all that information.
Respectfully, I would disagree that we should take the entire 90 days to resolve this issue. This is one of our leadership.
And I do agree with that, but I am one person and it does take a vote. So I do hear your concern though.
Thank you. Now, by individual response, Jordan, if the chairman or the TA stole money, would you recall that individual?
Absolutely, if there's proof.
Thank you, sir. John David, if the chairman or the TA stole money, would you recall that individual?
State it again.
Just in general, if any chairman or tribal administrator stole money, would you recall that individual from their role?
It would totally have to depend on how serious things were.
So stealing is just okay depending on the amount that what it is?
It is what it is right now, right?
No, it's an integrity issue, John David, though, so let's take it into account.
We're kind of like talking in general, right? Okay.
Ms. Adovich, you have about another minute, and you forgot to ask if I turned in my information. Yes, I did.
Sir, I apologize. Did you turn in yours?
Yes, I did.
Thank you. Now, Vice Chairman, if the chairman or the TA stole money, would you recall that individual?
If you're referring to my situation, that's been settled.
Oh, so you admitted guilt by paying it back?
It's been settled.
Thank you so much for taking our money and then admitting that occurred. Ross, if the chairman or the TA stole money, would you recall that individual?
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Hazel, if the chairman or the TA stole money, would you recall that individual?
Of course.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Adovich. Your time is up. Next.
I just wanted to comment on what she's saying. You guys are forgetting one thing. The Constitution says that you as CBC appoint subcommittees. It does not say put yourself on those committees and pay yourself a stipend. So at the end of the day, every single one of you up there that are collecting a stipend is stealing from the tribe. So y'all are all subject to recall, not just these two individuals. So y'all keep that in mind. That Constitution, y'all are sitting up there to uphold our Constitution, but are you doing it? No, you're not. You collect a stipend for every subcommittee you sit on. That Constitution doesn't say that. It says you will only collect $250 a month. So go back, read your Constitution, pull it out. I know you're thinking about it.
Thank you. Next.
I got a question.
Hello, my name is Guy Narcone. I'm 37 years old. I'm 1/4 Comanche. I'm 1/4 Fort Sill Apache. I'm 1/4 Seminole, and I'm 1/8 Caddo, and supposedly I'm 1/8 Scottish. But as far as my 1/8 Scottish, I really don't know about that side. I would have to go to Scotland, and I would have to speak Scottish language, and I would have to be around Scottish people to know about it. And so with what was said earlier about descendancy, I do agree we should talk about the blood quantum and descendancy, because I do think that's going to come up quicker than we think. Because, you know, you go to the Comanche Fair and we look all representations now. We look a lot differently. And the question was posed, so I would like to pose some solutions. I know with the Creek Muskogee tribe, they have, the more blood quantum you have, the more privileges you get. So if you're half blood quantum, you can be a chairman or a vice chairman. If you're a quarter blood quantum, you can sit on a council. But if you're less than a quarter, all you get is like benefits and housing and IHS. So there's an incentive to have more blood quantum. And with the Mandan tribe, I believe, I don't want to speak, but with the Mandan tribe, they combined the native blood. So if someone's half Mandan and half Arikara, they combine that two together and make that a full Mandan. They make that person a full Mandan because they're a full native. And with the Hopi tribe, same thing, they go with the mother's lineage. As long as you're not getting too far away from the mother's lineage, you're okay. And if you're going to sit on council or be in any type of leadership, you have to speak Hopi. You have to speak the language and be a part of the culture. And there's other tribes that have included descendancy, from Chickasaws to Fort Sill Apaches. And my father is a Fort Sill Apache, and just listening to my father and what he goes through with their tribe, it's a whole new set of things that happen once the descendants are brought in. Because descendancy comes from all over the world almost. It comes from the East Coast, from the West Coast, and there's people that don't know anything about the community but can be equal parts leadership. And then it takes away from the people that have been involved in the community and takes out their leadership. So it changes the dynamics of everything. So if we go the descendancy route, it's a big question because it changes everything. But if we stay within enrollment and we stay within blood quantum, we stay within the natives, but that's a bigger question than I can answer. I know on a personal note, when I talk to people and when I think about dating or when I think about marrying somebody, I take into account what tribe they are, how much blood they are, and what our kids are going to come out to. And, you know, well, if she's quarter Comanche, I'm quarter Comanche, our kid's going to be a quarter Comanche. We just do the math. And so if that's kind of a thing that people value, then we play by the rules. We play by BIA's rules. We play by the tribe's rules and say, well, if it's an eighth, they got to be at least an eighth, or we got to try to get it over. These are just the type of things that we talk about, but I do think it's important because it is going to come up soon. And that's all I wanted to say. Okay.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, my name is Charlotte Naya. I spoke with you guys during the all entities meeting regarding me being voted out on the election board. In case anybody is unaware, I was nominated at General Council to be on the election board. My name was on the ballot. The people voted for me. But on the 26th of September, I was voted out by, well, they tried. I was illegally voted out by, there was 11 people there, so about 9 of the appointed, non-elected election board members, which were appointed on the list, brought about by Anita Dockeye. So they told me, because I spoke out at the CBC meeting last month, that my conduct was unacceptable and I was embarrassing to them. So therefore, I was voted out. And I brought this to the CBC at the all entities meeting a few weeks ago, and I would just like to know if there was any follow-up, because the Constitution states that the people elected me, only the people can take me out. So I was wondering if there was any follow-up on that, and if it's legal what the election board did.
There was follow-up. We had a special meeting with the election board. We're going to have a follow-up meeting once we get legal counsel to offer his legal review. Once we do, we'll get back with you.
Those other individuals shouldn't even be on there, because that Constitution states that the CBC or the election board cannot change any requirements to get new board members. And one of the first requirements is you have to be nominated at the general council.
Tanisha, everything that she brought up, we are discussing. So there's a large.
Y'all had a big ceremony and y'all swore them in.
Well, it wasn't y'all. We weren't even notified. The.
I was sworn in.
Yes,
all here,
yes,
but
you were. The second one.
It's my understanding that they were sworn in by a non-tribal member. He's not even of the Comanche tribe. So, you know, this is all very questionable. I just wanted to know if there's follow-up. Also, is there a time frame? The next election board meeting, am I going to be kicked out? Should I go? I am the secretary. I take that job very seriously. So I would like to know, I feel like I have a right to attend that election board meeting, being as I was illegally voted out.
And why is Anita running those meetings? She's not.
That was my initial question last month that nobody could answer, and that is why I got voted out. So I was just like, is there a time frame that when the follow-up will I be
Yes,
let know?
once the chairman and vice chairman come back, that's of the election board, we're going to have that meeting.
Okay.
Once we get our legal review and our legal counsel, so thank you. All right, next.
I'm sorry, can I speak to that situation? Charlotte, I know that you were voted off, but however, our election board should be unbiased individuals. And unfortunately, there are a number of political pages, posts, and if you are on the election board, then you should not be liking, sharing, or posting any of those items. You know, I didn't find that you were appalling or embarrassing last moment. In fact, it was a good exemplification of looking for guidelines and direction. But what you have to also understand is election board members must be unbiased. And unfortunately, I have seen your name like a number of posts that are politically degrading to a number of individuals. And unfortunately, I wouldn't feel like you were doing enough for me. But that's also not correct either. That's also not.
We're not going to argue. Listen, we're not going to argue. We're not going to argue.
It's under review.
Dignity and respect. Let's move on, please. Who's next?
Go ahead.
My question is in regards to the recall. Again, the Constitution states that only one and one recall will be taken out. Why are there two?
It's not. It's two.
It's two.
It's authorized for two.
No more than two one
No
time.
more than two per person. The first sentence says only one.
It's how you interpret it. Mike, can you please explain it? You're the subject matter expert on this.
The reason you can take out two individually is that we always have a quorum. So you can take out two recalls on two separate people, but you can't take out more than that.
Your first sentence, what does it say?
You just quoted it. I don't have it in front of me. I got a bad memory. No more than one recall per person.
No, one recall at a time.
Yeah, on one person. No more than two recalls at any time frame.
So then where was the evidence given to, so it also says that they had to have wronged 12 or more people. Were they ever going to get that evidence, the statements and all of that? What's that? Were those investigations done?
Let me
Were those
answer that.
statements turned in?
Is our enrollment director here?
Hang on a second. How many people were here at that meeting when they read that resolution? Raise your hand.
That is not grievous, though. You're talking about.
Hey, hush, hush. These people here raised their hand, plus those who are not here, who saw it on live stream. Those people have been aggrieved because they brought out an illegal resolution, which was not done in the proper manner conducting business.
It's illegal now, but it wasn't illegal how
And
many
so
years ago?
that resolution,
Willie Nelson was
that resolution was read.
Again, we're not going to sit here and argue.
Right. That resolution was read.
Mike has the floor.
In new business, not during the course of the performed business that's been accepted by all of us. When they read a resolution on the list, that's where it should be. And that resolution didn't come before this body at your normal work session, did it?
No.
No. It came right here before us, and he made a motion to accept it. Got outvoted, Chairman. It never should have been recognized. So if you want to say it's illegal to put a resolution in new business,
It's
I think
illegal
it
now,
is.
but it wasn't for, were you there advocating for Mr. Nelson when they did that to him? I don't see you advocating for him.
I think Mr. Nelson had there were different
No,
reasons.
it's the same thing.
No.
He was removed.
Chairman Nelson was removed because he was suspended due to criminal investigations.
My same question, were y'all there advocating when it was done to Mr. Nelson? And if you weren't, then I don't want to hear it.
But these were only baseless allegations that were made, whereas Chairman Nelson
But
was
she,
about
did
to be
she,
criminal
but
investigated.
one of the things on
point of
there
order.
said she took a vehicle
Point of order.
without.
Man, he's called point of order.
We
No,
Please grab
it's
the
not.
microphone.
No. So answer the question. What are y'all gonna do about Willie Nelson? He's owed an apology. Are you gonna apologize to him for doing that?
I wasn't here. I didn't do it.
But you're upholding it every time he walks in that door.
I'm not going to sit here and argue. That's what I'm not going to do. Okay?
Take note, guys, because this is how she's treating you. Whenever she runs for office, this is how she decides to run things. Keep that in mind.
All right, next, please.
I might add, the time frame when Mr. Nelson was the TA, we had a possible 9 solid charges against him. Mismanagement, self-serving, and financial mismanagement. Taken into executive session, the CBC did not want to bring those charges up and recall him. But there was documentation on 19 charges, which at the time the CBC would not vote to recall him when I proposed it. And then I'm accused of not doing anything about it, but I tried because we're supposed to be a democratic group up here.
Was he removed legally?
Next, old or new business. If there's no more old or new business, can I get a motion to go into executive session?
I'll make the motion, Chairman.
We've got a motion. Can I get a second? Second by our Secretary Treasurer. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we are now in executive session.